Okay, so this is the start, my attempt, and I'm far from a handyman, so if I actually make this, anybody can. Excuse me. My attempt at a wood gas stove. I'm going to use it for, try to keep it as light as possible, use it for camping. So it's an old paint can. There's still dried paint inside, but apparently from everything I've been seeing on good old YouTube, this should burn itself off. So it's going to be forced air. I got my 12-volt computer fan. That'll be mounting on the bottom. I don't have any fancy tools, so I'm using a steak knife, an old steak knife that is, and I've already started. I've measured out. I just took a black marker to give me a rough idea where the fan's going to go, and just cutting a little circle on the inside to follow the circumference of where the fan will blow inward. It's not precise, but it doesn't need to be, and I'm not trying to win a beauty contest with this either. So it's easy cutting. It's like a can opener basically. And I'm almost through. I started it, and then I decided, hey, why don't I videotape myself doing this, so when it doesn't work, then I can never post it. But no, it should be fine. So anyways, I'm going to cut through this. I won't pay you to watch that. I'm going to cut through it, and then see if I can get the fan mounted. Okay, so there's my steak knife job type hole. I need to mount this on here. There's a few ways I could probably do this. I'm going to use a nut and bolt for each side. So it'll probably be, I'll probably make it go through the top. Anyways, I'm not going to use a drill because I like to make my life difficult. The only thing I bought for the project, really, was this stuff at Radio Shack, which is basically, as you can see, it's for attaching a 9-volt battery to the fan. I have a little 9-volt battery clip holder, so I could probably mount that somewhere. Probably not on the stove. And I guess if I want to get fancy, which is not necessary because I can always pull that off, the battery, is this 12-volt switch. Okay, what I've done so far is I've nailed some pilot holes with this puny little nail. I mean, this stuff is thin. This is very easy to do with that little nail there. Then took my bolts and just completed the job. And the last one. Okay, so I got my fan installed. You can see the bolts. Really an overkill. There's no pressure on the fan. I could probably use one on each corner, but I had 4 bolts, and it was very easy to put the holes in. And here we are on the bottom. So like I said, I'm going to have legs or something coming off here, so obviously the fan's not sitting directly on the ground. But that's that. That's the first part. This is a very thin can. A ketchup can might be better, but it's going to be heavier. But this is not going to take a lot of heat because I have an inner liner that'll go in here, and so most of the heat will be on that liner, which is a lot thicker tin. This is probably aluminum actually. So okay, so I already started cutting a hole in the top lid where this guy, the inner liner, where the wood's going to burn, is going to sit in. So once again, I'm using my trusty steak knife, and it's doing a pretty good job on it. So what I did for the the inner liner that's going to go in is the lid. I cut it, oh gosh, line this up. I cut it smaller, and these little tabs I cut. I'm going to fold them back, and they're going to hold things in place, act like a spring effect. Cut some vent holes. I didn't cut them. I used one of Underling's killer nails here, and just nailed. Don't need a drill. If you want to make it look all pretty, use a drill. Okay, here's my jets. I didn't use a nail because hammering would have collapsed or deformed the top, so I just used a knife. It's very easy to do. Just ta-da. But what I'm going to do is put holes on the bottom of this, but really these are finishing nails. Like almost slightly bigger than pin size through the bottom here. So as you can see, I got some started going around here. Like I said, I don't think these are going to be big enough for any destructive ash to get through, but as I mentioned, I will have a little screen covering the mesh or something. Okay, that's my finished bottom. So it will be interesting to see how this performs, if it actually does what it's supposed to. Okay, here's the top mounted, my little self-made cut springs to hold it in place. I'll probably use some JB weld or something just to secure it much better than that, especially when there's the weight of wood in there. You can see the jets. So basically, it's going to sit on top like that there. I want to obviously keep it off the ground. You're not going to have the fan sitting on the ground. It'll just be sucking in dirt. So I'm going to try putting these carriage bolts, I think they're called, like that there to support it. So I'm going to give that a try. Okay, here's the stove with the legs on it. So basically I just got some bolts and just bolted them on. And so now the fan at the bottom has space to breathe. And there's the inside. Turn the switch on. That's it, and it's stable, you know. And still, I got some JB weld, which is this stuff here, which I already showed you. But I have it so then the lid, when it fits down inside, is nice and secure. And I will be putting something on the top, so we'll be able to lay pots and stuff on it. Okay, so I have the legs hooked up. I got some wood splinters in. It's windy out, but I'm going to give it a try. Get this tin foil on the other side, and the reason for that is it's not complete yet. I got a little gap right there that I'm going to weld over with JB Weld, so it's a nice tight fit. Just want it to be this is not a part of the finished design, folks. This is just beta version. Okay, so I'm going to pull the camera back and light it up. And of course, I'm going to plug in the 9-volt battery, which is underpowering the fan. The fan's 12 volt, so maybe I'll end up getting a 12-volt battery. It's just one of those small lantern ones. Just get more power to the fan if needed. Okay, let's plug in the fan. I guess it's working like a charm. And the fan that's blowing out from underneath?
Yeah.
That's the key right there.
Yeah.
Is the fuel. It's burning off some of that JB fuel stuff I have. That's why there's a weird smell to it.
Yeah.
But look at it. It's working. Not taking a lot of wood to maintain this, especially since it's so hot for cooking or boiling water, and because of the airflow up beneath. I mean, I throw a couple pieces in. There's some coals in the bottom, but it catches so well. Like, look at that. And it's not heavy. I use a paint can, a little bit bulky, but it's certainly not heavy at all. Oops. Still got to make a cooking grill for it. Fix this along the side. Do some touch-ups. But you don't need to be exact for this to work as far as your measurements and the holes that you make. I'm sure there's optimal hole sizes, distance, blah blah blah. But you don't need to go to that trouble. It's fire. Give it some air and feel it'll burn.